Residents of the west central Saskatchewan city were told to boil their water 8 days ago, and that advisory will continue until further notice. To another health concern now. Today is World Asthma Day, and one of the
affected a municipal water supply. The public health scare is shaking the city of North Battleford, northwest of Saskatoon, where the outbreak has caused dozens of people to fall ill in recent days. Residents have been under a boil water order ever since the parasite identified as Cryptosporidium was found in their drinking water last week. More on the outbreak now from CTV's Robert James.
Fear is gripping this prairie community with word of 3 suspicious deaths, possibly linked to something everyone takes for granted, their drinking water. The Battleford's Health District has indicated 2 of the deaths occurred in early April and 1 just this week. In the most recent death, Cryptosporidia, a parasite, was found in the patient's stool sample. Since last week, North Battleford residents have been urged to boil their drinking water for at least 3 minutes.
It eventually is going to snowball into a lot more home care, a lot more sick people. The hospital's going to be full. Older people are going to maybe have their lives taken away from it simply because this bug can do that to people whose immune systems are low.
Jane Shurey's fear has turned into reality. The Battleford's medical health officer only learned of the deaths in the past 24 hours. And while he says most people will recover within 2 weeks, those with a weak immune system are highly susceptible.
Mild symptoms usually respond well just with by drinking plenty of fluids to prevent dehydration. For more persistent diarrhea or any complications or any concerns, the recommendation is that concerned individuals discuss that with their family physician.
Health and environment officials are still trying to determine if there's any connection between the deaths and the parasite.
How long we had that disease, how serious a disease it was, what the prognosis for that disease was, what the likely course of illness from that disease would be. Then they look at, was there a contributing factor from the diarrhea, whether it was crypto or one of
the North Battleford outbreak has been tied to a filtration problem in the community's water treatment plant. Symptoms include nausea, diarrhea, cramps, vomiting, and mild fever. Cryptosporidium is a microscopic parasite which lives in the intestines of humans and animals, and that's the same parasite that killed 100 people and made 400,000 others ill in Milwaukee 8 years ago. There are only 20 confirmed cases of cryptosporidiosis since the outbreak began, but CTV News has learned hundreds of people across Saskatchewan are suffering from symptoms consistent with the parasite. Robert James, CTV News, Saskatoon.
CTV's Jonathan Gravener arrived in North Battleford earlier this evening. He and his guest to bring us up to date on how this crisis is being handled. Jonathan?
Thank you, Lloyd. I'm joined by North Battleford City Commissioner Jim Toy. Now, Jim, with the incident in Walkerton so fresh in so many Canadians' minds, how is the city here going to avert the same sort of crisis and tragedy that happened there?
What we're trying to do, Jonathan, is get the message to the citizens of North Battleford that the boil water order is still on. Boil your water for 3 minutes. And if anyone out there has a weak immune system, we want to make sure that if they're showing any symptoms, such as diarrhea, slight fever, stomach cramps, that they see their family physician immediately.
This is different than you can't flush it out with chlorine. You have to just simply let it flush through the system?
That's correct. What we need to do is flush the system, but first of all, we need negative tests from 3 consecutive negative tests from our water treatment plants, and then we can have assured we have clean water to flush the parasite through our distribution system.
Are we getting any closer to having clear water yet in North Battleford? How are the tests going?
The tests seem to be going quite well, but we are still currently monitoring all the tests that we've taken.
Any idea how soon the water could be clear to drink?
We don't have that information at this time.
Okay, thanks, Jim Toy. Jim Toy, City Commissioner for the City of North Battleford. And that's it from here. Back to you, Lloyd.
Thank you, Jonathan. CTV's Jonathan Gravener tonight in North Battleford. It was a strain of E. coli bacteria that caused Walkerton's outbreak. Cryptosporidium brings on the same kind of symptoms and is equally as deadly. First detected in the late 70s, the bug is most commonly spread through water systems where it can lurk in pipes and reservoirs for long periods of time. To reinforce the point, the parasite is resistant to treatments such as chlorination. Symptoms usually develop 4 to 6 days after infection, and those especially at risk again include the very young, the elderly, and those with immune problems. There is currently no drug to treat this illness. Protesters and police clashed again tonight in Quebec as...
Tonight it stands at 65. Only 7 people from 25 families living in the leveled apartment building survived. It's believed the landslide was triggered by heavy rains. And if you're looking for something to do on Sunday, how about taking some time out to honor those who gave their lives for our country?
Christie's body was found at the entrance to a 9th Avenue parking lot. Another man is also facing charges tonight. A team of Calgary pilots is looking back on an incredible journey. Tonight they return to a hero's welcome in Calgary today after rescuing an ailing doctor from the South Pole. They're the first in the world to make the flight in the middle of the dangerous polar winter. The pilots say they're glad to be back and that the daring flight was just part of their job. A citywide fire ban has been issued until further notice. Officials say conditions are extremely dry and all open fires have been banned within city limits. The only exception, propane and gas barbecues. Smokers are also being urged to use common sense when tossing their cigarettes. Last weekend alone, fire crews battled 25 grass fires across the city.
Students